Okay, so for this one, this problem 36. For it, I'm going to go ahead and go start. And with the way it's in there on the book, it's drawn over there on that right side plane. So I'm going to click on that right side plane for my starting plane. And we're just going to start by drawing the positive features. When you're working with Inventor, you always draw positive features. So I'm going to start with drawing these circles first. The 3 circles that go in here at approximately these positions. So those 3 circles out there. Okay, so once these are here, we need to get these constrained. Well, obviously first we can constrain them by size. The size of these are a 0.5 diameter. So we can set all these 0.5. I would just dimension one of them 0.5, and you can do it the other ones a couple different ways. These are going to stay the same size, so you could just make them equal. So you can make that one equal the previous one, that one equal that one. So there, you really only dimension once, and they all equal each other. That's a little step to save you some time there. Then next, you need to put these into position. Well, this one slides up and down all over the place and side to side. What I'm going to do first off, I'm going to constrain it vertically with the origin, and that's going to lock that one into place vertically. These two, I want to make these line up with each other, so I'm just going to put those collinear to each other, so they stay in position collinear to each other. Does collinear not work on circles? All right, we're going to constrain those horizontally with each other then. So horizontal constraint between these two, and then I'll have those two locked into place. Now those two are locked in equally with each other, and this is locked in so it won't go up and down. Now all we really have to do is add in those couple dimensions. 3 dimensions will be done with this. So one, we're going to dimension from center to center of those two, and we're going to add that to 1 inch. Then, again, just copying from the book, trying to put the same dimensions in that's shown on the book. I'm going to make that one 1 inch, and I'm going to make this one 1 inch. And now what am I missing here? Oh, okay, the whole thing slides back and forth over my origin. On this, couple different things we could do. You know, really it doesn't matter where this sets side to side. So I'd probably just go ahead and make the center of the circles here aligned with my origin. So there, I think I'd probably just do this and do a horizontal constraint between the origin there and there. And that locks those right into place. Now my midplane is going to be going through it there, but that really is an important step. So there, we're actually done. You would think maybe you'd add those circles in there, but it's really not the way that you do that. You don't add the holes there. So there, we finished the sketch there. And we go ahead and extrude these things. I'm going to extrude those 3 circles. I'm going to extrude them both ways. It doesn't tell you there on the sheet how much to extrude those, but visually looking at it, I think we're going to go 0.2 on those. And finish up with those. Now here's the step that some of you weren't doing before they were working on there on your own. You really don't add your holes in a negative surface with drawing it and extruding it. You add your holes in with the hole command because they make a special command for holes. We use that hole command to put holes in, and that's going to matter a lot later when you start dimensioning things. When you guys are doing things more advanced later in capstones or any of that, using this hole command is going to be an important step. So you're going to need to get used to using that hole command. The hole command has changed a lot, even from last year's version. It comes up looking like this. We're going to do a pretty basic hole, so all we're going to do here is click on the surface. It puts that hole into place. Click on the surface of the outside of it, the cylinder, and it will center that hole up. And then just move on to your next one. Click on the surface. I'll click way off the center here just so you see a difference of it. So there, and then you click on the surface, and it centers it up. Click on the surface, and then on the edge of the cylinder, and I'll center it up. Then you put in the diameter of the circle. This was actually the last drawing I did. That's kind of funny. And the diameter of that circle is 0.3. So you add in your diameter down here of 0.3 on that circle. The distance through, gosh, this has changed a little bit from what I used to. Okay, there we go. It's just a select box. We want this one that says through all is your best option to get used to using. If a hole goes through all. If your hole only goes through part of the way, you don't do that through all. But you do that through all, and OK. And you've got those beautiful holes. All right, from there, we're going to draw our next little inside port, that kind of webbing of it. Once again, we're going to go Start Sketch. The webbing, we're going to open up our origin again like we did before on the Cameron block. And we're going to open up the plane, that's the plane that goes through the center of those pieces. So we're going to go there to the XY plane, or sorry, YZ plane. Once again, like we did a moment ago, we hit F7 to slice our graphics. And there our graphics are sliced. Now here, kind of the cool part with this, we're just going to use a line command. And we're going to draw the line in from there to there. And a line from there to there. I'm going to start with those two. Now with those lines, if you've done it, if you got the tangent points to show up, your lines would be locked in there in blue already. But notice if I drag these lines around a little bit, this one's staying tangent, this one and this one and this one, those three are not. So I have to add in those tangent constraints. So I'm going to come up to my constraints here, click on my tangent constraint, make the yellow circle there, tangent to that one, and notice it turns that one blue automatically. It constrains it in there perfectly for me. So I'm going to constrain that line to that tangent point. And this one looks like it was tangent over here, but it just went a little bit long. So I'm going to go down there and X, and whoop, why is it trimming out the whole thing? I don't know what that one's doing. Slice graphics is F7. There we go. That one was not tangent there. Why it turned it blue, I'm not sure. So that's got those in a place. So the next part of this out here is this circle, or this arc. I typically just draw it with a circle. So I typically draw my circle out there, like so. And once again, I use my tangent constraint to make those two tangent with each other, and those two tangent with each other. Once they're tangent there, I go ahead and I usually try to drag this approximate size before I do anything else. But then I go ahead and just trim that off that I don't need. So I make a tangent there, trim it off, so there I'm left with just my arc. And then I go ahead and dimension my arc. They tell us in the book there what that is. It's a 1.5 dimension. And it should have that all fully blue as soon as you do that. So as long as you have your two sides of it tangent, trim it out, dimension it with the radius there of 1.5, you're good to go. And here, you might think you draw the other part of it in there, but you really don't. It's better to draw this here, make a positive feature, and then do all your cutouts in it. That's kind of the correct procedure for Inventor. It'll make things better when you do more complex things later. So we're going to finish our sketch there. We're going to extrude that both ways, and we're going to make it 0.1. Yes, sir. All right, Sebastian pointed out I fail. This line here, that should have been a straight line. That should have been an arc there too. So once again, I'm going to draw my circle there. I just wanted to get good practice doing that. That was really my reasoning there. Sure. Make those two tangent, trim that out, and dimension that at whatever it is, 1 radius. There we go. Now we can finish our sketch. Extrude that both directions at a 0.1. All right, next. Now we're actually going to do another extrusion, but we're going to do it as a cut. So we're going to go ahead and start a sketch again. We're going to start our sketch there on that same plane that we did before, that YZ plane going through the middle of it. I'm going to hit my F7 to slice my graphics. And I'm here with this now. So now what I'm going to do is, first off, I'm just going to put a kind of a random line up here. So I'm going to pick a place, about there to draw it. Now I am going to hover over that line just for a second and pull it back until I see that little parallel symbol show up. And I put that line in parallel to the other one. So there, those two lines are parallel to each other. Now, over here, much like what I did before, I'm just going to come here and I'm going to draw this random circle there and another random circle there. Now, the way I'm going to make those two, so these are parallel to each other, is I'm going to use the concentric option up here. So you have a concentric constraint. I'm going to make that circle concentric to that circle. So that gives those the same center point. So now it's really easy to drag this back and around to where I want it to be. And now all I have to do is set off a dimension of how far away I want those to be. So for example, this one I want it to be from there to there. And on this it's 0.05 inches looks like. So those two are parallel to each other, 0.05 inches apart. Now, sometimes it'll let you do this, sometimes it won't. So sometimes you can go between those two, and there it did let me do it, and set that to 0.05, and then set that one there to 0.05. If it doesn't let you do that, you just have to add 0.05 onto this radius you had before. So it was 1.5 radius for this circle. You'd have to change that to a 1.55 radius. Hopefully that makes sense. So there, those lines all laid out perfectly into place. Next, I'm going to go ahead and put me a circle that goes right down here and here and here. Now, this one, notice, I have that yellow dot that appears. So there, I can just click there. It's already locked into that origin. And I can drag that circle out. All I need to do there is then dimension that circle. Now, here it's a little bit different. It is actually, if you look at the drawing, it doesn't give us that measurement, but we can kind of decipher it by looking. It's 0.1 apart here, and if you look at it, the same distance is here. But it's 0.1 from there to this line there is where the 0.1 is. Now, there it actually did let me put that in as 0.1 and put that in. And you do the same thing on these other circles. Couple ways you can do that. One is those yellow dots do not appear on those circles. So you can either make them concentric to each other, as we did with that concentric constraint, or you can project the geometry of those circles. So it's just that project geometry button. You click on the circle there, and the yellow dot will appear for the centers of those circles. Now you can align that circle that you draw to those center points, out to there, out to there, and now you can dimension these into place. From that yellow line to there, and here I may need to project the geometry of that circle there, and of that circle there, and now dimension between those two at 0.1. We're getting close to being done there. The only thing we have left are the two lines out here in the middle of this. We do want to make sure those are parallel to each other. Those two lines. And here at this point, I'd probably start trimming up some stuff. So, whoops, trimmed up the wrong thing. Actually, I'm going to pause it. So now from there, it's just adding in your dimensions here. It got rid of some of my dimensions, so I'm going to add back in this 0.1 dimension there, or 0.05, sorry, 0.05 there. And there, it looks like it might be a pain. It's not wanting to take my 0.05. It's not wanting to do it. So there, I'm just going to dimension that other one at 1.05. So I'm going to dimension that one instead at 1. Oh, come on. 1.05. There we go. I'm going to mention that one there at 1.55. Mention that at 0.1. Starting to get some things constrained in there. Okay. Once you have it all blue, you can go ahead and extrude. I did notice I just had an extra green line there. So you can go ahead and extrude this once it's all full blue. Go ahead and finish your sketch. Extrude it. Can't see the parts you're selecting, but if you come in here and hover over it, it should still select those two parts to extrude. You're going to change to cut, extruding both ways, and the distance of all. And it should cut those all the way through. So there, that is looking really nice. Besides the rounds on it, the fillet command's a little bit different than what's been in the past. So if we go F for fillet, there's an option here that is feature. And if you come in here on the inside and notice it highlights that feature, I just click on it, and it fillets all the corners of that feature. I have to set it the correct distance, which is 0.05, and it automatically does all those in one nice step. So it just filleted all of those inside corners of that feature, which made that really kind of nice. So there, that piece is done. You could set the material to some specific material if you wanted to. Maybe later we'll do a test of the strength test on this. So.